Good afternoon. As the Dean of the College of Engineering, it's my pleasure to welcome you, as well as those watching us on our live feed online, as we recognize the College of Engineering's Fall 2018 Baccalaureate class. I'll begin by introducing our platform officials. When I call your name, please stand. John Keller, Interim Vice President for Research and Economic Development. Keynote speaker, Stephen Davis, owner and president of BioNeos Incorporated. Joseph Reinhardt, professor and chair of biomedical engineering. Alan Guyman, professor and chair of chemical and biochemical engineering. Alan Bradley, professor and chair of civil and environmental engineering. Erwei Bai, professor and chair of electrical and computer engineering. Geb Thomas, professor and chair of industrial and systems engineering. Ryan Collins, student speaker, mechanical engineering. Jane Dorman, director of admissions in the first year experience. And the marshal who led the graduates into the auditorium, Professor Nicole Grossland, associate dean of academic programs. All right. Today we celebrate an important point in the life of our graduates and the beginning of new challenges that will draw upon the knowledge and experiences they've gained as students here at the University of Iowa. Our graduates are well prepared to meet the professional challenges and opportunities that they will encounter as engineers, and we take pride in their accomplishments. As a small token of our appreciation for their hard work and dedication, we've given each graduate a medallion symbolic of their accomplishments, which they are wearing today over their academic regalia. Let me name just a few of the specific achievements of this graduating class. 56 of these graduates completed the requirements for minors. 34 received credit for co-op or internship experiences. 12 of these students will graduate with distinction. 8 were members of the engineering tutoring team. 4 will receive university honors. 3 will graduate with a certificate. 1 completed the requirements for honors in the major. There was an Engineering Grand Challenges Scholar. 1 will graduate with a double major. 2 served the college as student ambassadors. 1 was an academic peer advisor. 3 graduates were presidents of engineering student organizations. 1 served as a professional development peer advisor. Finally, many of these graduates have been actively involved in student organizations, while others have been involved in academic research. Some have enriched our community through their volunteer efforts. Many have studied abroad. Others worked to fund their own education. Some were the first in their family to receive a college degree. We also take great pride in our students who have served in the armed forces. And I invite the veterans in our graduating class to rise, as well as the veterans in our audience. Please rise and receive our appreciation. The accomplishments and academic achievements of the graduates build from the devotion of talented faculty. This semester, the graduating seniors from each program selected a faculty member to be recognized today for their excellence in teaching and dedication to student learning. Faculty, as I call your names, please come forward to be recognized. Osama Saba, lecturer in biomedical engineering. Please just come forward in front of the table. Charles Stanier, professor of chemical and biochemical engineering. Christopher Stokes, associate professor of instruction in civil and environmental engineering. Hans Johnson, associate professor in electrical and computer engineering. Geb Thomas, professor in industrial and systems engineering. And Justin Garvin, associate professor of instruction in mechanical engineering. Ryan Collins is a mechanical engineering major from Coralville, Iowa. During his time at the University of Iowa, he held leadership roles in the American Wind Energy Association and worked as a math tutor for local high school students. He was actively involved as both a student ambassador and a peer advisor for the College of Engineering. During his summers, he completed a co-op with Whirlpool as a cooling design engineer and an internship with H&I as a product design engineer. This past summer, he interned with design engineers, helping design HVAC and plumbing systems for new and renovated buildings. After graduation, Ryan will begin work for design engineers in Cedar Rapids. It's my pleasure to introduce today's student speaker, Ryan Collins.
Dean Scranton, I'd like to thank you very much for the kind introduction. I would also like to add, however, that I was voted best pizza roll maker on 7th floor Reno my freshman year, and will forever be way too proud of it. What a day, though, today. I don't know about you all, but I've been counting down the days for this for quite a while. I mean, I even started a countdown on a whiteboard the very first day of the semester before my classes even started. Pretty excited. In all seriousness, I have a lot of people to thank for me being here today. I'd like to thank the faculty and staff of the college. I'd like to thank my friends. And most importantly, I'd like to thank my family and loved ones, many of whom are here today or watching from afar. It feels like just yesterday I was getting ready for my first day of college classes. I still remember walking into Hoover Hall for my very first engineering class. I remember Professor Clausen's very first words, "Welcome to Mechanical Engineering 101 at Iowa State University." To the previously asleep but now very concerned looking uncle at the back of the room, don't worry, you show up to the right graduation. I'm a transfer student from what we call here the other side of the state. Not because it's a bad school, it just wasn't the right fit for me. When I made my decision all those years ago, I tried something, and even though it didn't work out, I learned more about myself in that time than I did in the other 22 years of my life combined. It was the best, worst decision I've ever made. As we move into this new and exciting chapter of our lives, we're all going to face challenges, both professionally and personally, and frankly, much greater than the ones I faced at the beginning of my college career. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid these challenges, make sure nothing bad ever happens. However, it's the people who embrace adversity, and the people who aren't afraid to learn from their failures, that truly go on to change the world. When the engine you make doesn't start, you don't give up, you figure out why. When your new business idea gets shut down, you go back to the drawing board, and you make it better. When you come across a hard time, you don't run away, you sit with it, you learn from it, and as a result, you truly walk away a better person. However, I don't want you just to take this advice from me. I want to share with you the experience of the man who truly taught me all of this, Luther Smith. Luther was a former Tuskegee Airman, part of the first group of African-American fighters ever deployed by the U.S. Armed Forces. After World War II, he came back and got his degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Iowa. He then went and worked 38 years for General Electric until his retirement in 1988. For his entire life, Luther faced some of the toughest challenges imaginable. When the armed forces told him he couldn't fly because of the intense segregation and Jim Crow laws present at the time, he flew. When the doctors told him the hip injury he sustained while parachuting out of his burning plane would get in the way of the rest of his life, he found a way. And as a working professional, people tried to stop him simply because of the color of his skin. He went on to prove them wrong and get 2 patents. What I learned from Luther is to never give up on something just because it seems unreachable. When times get tough, they can bring out the best in us, and that's when we can truly learn and develop as a person. As engineers, this is extremely vital in our career because when we don't give up and we learn from our failures, we do things like go to the moon. I want to share a fact with you. Henry Ford went bankrupt twice before starting Ford Motor Company. Another fact, it said Thomas Edison went through 1,000 different filaments before inventing the first commercially viable light bulb. When somebody asked him how it felt to fail 1,000 times, he responded, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was simply an invention with 1,000 steps." It's people with mindsets like this, who learn from their failures, that truly go on to change this world. We're all going to face challenges in our lives, and how we respond to these challenges is going to dictate the kind of person we are. Do we back away and move along? Or do we push through and fight? The good news is that being here today means we've already started to practice facing these challenges. I don't know about you all, but I've sat down to start a homework assignment and walked away 3 hours later with only my name on the piece of paper. Shoot, I got a 27% on my first college exam. Still haunts me to this day. Not good. There's a saying, practice makes perfect. No, practice makes habit. By pushing through these tough homework assignments, by getting through a tough test grade, we've already started to form these habits of facing challenges. And frankly, as engineers, it's something we've become very familiar with over the last 4 or so years. When you leave here today, I want you to remember how you faced and got through these tough challenges in college. I want you to remember Luther and how he never let anything stand in his way. And most importantly, I want you to remember that the greatest danger to ourselves doesn't lie in setting our aim too high and missing our mark, but rather setting our aim too low and achieving our goals. If you do this and never give up in the face of the challenges that life throws at you, well, I and all these lovely people out here, we look forward to reading about the great things you do someday. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Ryan, for those inspiring, excellent thoughts on experiences at Iowa and the future that all these fine graduates will have. Next, I will present the Outstanding Senior Award, which is selected by the Engineering Student Council and is presented to a graduate who demonstrates exceptional character, an affinity for lifelong learning, and are active, engaged, and well-respected members of the College of Engineering and the University of Iowa as a whole. This award is chosen based on nominations received from faculty members and students alike, and the recipient's about to learn their name today. This year's recipient is a first-generation college student who chose engineering because he wanted to improve people's lives with the work that he does. With this inspiration, he's been involved within the college and the university in numerous ways. For example, he served as a teaching assistant, as a College of Engineering mentor, and participated in the Student Leadership Institute, sponsored by Collins Aerospace. At the university level, he participated in UI Dance Marathon. After graduation, he plans to work for Peter Basso Associates in Troy, Michigan. I'm very pleased to announce the recipient of this year's Outstanding Senior Award, Brady Breitbach. Yep, come on up. A few of our graduates are wearing regalia signifying their membership in honor societies or student organizations. Would these students please rise? These professional organizations give back to the university and the community through their activities and various outreach agents and help with the professional development of these students. Let's recognize these students here. Now I'd like to recognize students who will be earning honors. Graduates, please stand if you're earning engineering honors or university honors. And I'll mention university honors are earned through a combination of honors coursework and other enrichment activities, such as research, study abroad, and internships. Engineering honors students complete research under the guidance of a faculty member, culminating in the submission of an honors thesis. Let's congratulate our recipient. We'll now recognize students who achieved distinction for graduating in at least the top 10% of all students in the College of Engineering as measured by grade point average. Would these students please stand? So the levels of distinction are indicated by stars on the gown and in the commencement program as follows. 3 stars designating highest distinction, the top 2%. 2 stars, high distinction, the next 3%. And 1 star designated distinction, the next 5%. Next, we'll recognize graduates who have completed the requirements for certificates in clinical and translational science, large data analysis, sustainability, or writing. Would these students please stand? So this student completed a series of courses to provide them with depth of understanding in a specialized area that complements the engineering curriculum and therefore prepares them for success. Thank you very much. Would the Grand Challenges Scholar please rise? The Engineering Grand Challenges Scholars Program prepares students to tackle the key problems that our society will face in the coming century. To cultivate a new generation of engineers ready to confront these problems, we've developed a comprehensive and intensive program of curricular and extracurricular requirements. Few students in the nation complete the extensive requirements, and I congratulate this year's Grand Challenges Scholar. I am now delighted to introduce alumnus Stephen Davis, who will deliver the charge to the graduates. Stephen Davis received his MS in Electrical Engineering from the University of Iowa in 2003. As a student at the University of Iowa, Steve Davis and his partners won the Papa John New Venture Business Plan Competition in 2003 and the STORE Entrepreneurial Business Competition in 2004. Davis received academic All-Big Ten honors as a member of the Hawkeye men's gymnastics team and worked as a research assistant in the College of Engineering's Coordinated Laboratory for Computational Genomics. Steve is the president and co-founder of BioNeos Incorporated, a software company that provides bioinformatics data analysis service and develops custom software for researchers in the life sciences. Steve has given back to his alma mater in numerous ways. He shared his experiences and expertise with thousands of UI entrepreneurial students, has judged numerous student business plan competitions. He was the main instructor for the Dev Iowa Boot Camp, a foundational web application development course. He was a charter member of the College of Engineering Young Alumni Advisory Board and currently serves as a member of the College of Engineering Advisory Board. In 2017, he received the University of Iowa Distinguished Young Alumni Award and was inducted into the UI Distinguished Engineering Alumni Academy. Steve, it's my pleasure to welcome you to give an address to our students.
Thank you, Dean Scranton. It is an honor to be given the opportunity to speak to you today. But I wouldn't be in this position if it were not for my training and experiences at the University of Iowa College of Engineering. I'd like to thank everyone in the college, but I was told I only have 5 minutes to speak today. So in short, thank you, everyone in the College of Engineering. You all contribute to the amazing environment that prepares these engineers. I'd also like to briefly thank a few who were instrumental in my journey as an engineer and an entrepreneur. Professor Tom Cassavant in Electrical and Computer Engineering, Terry Braun in Biomedical Engineering, and Todd Sheets in Ophthalmology and the Visual Sciences. I'd also like to thank my business partner, Mike Smith, and my wife, my amazing wife, who is an alum of the University of Iowa as well, Sarah Davis. I am so grateful that she is a part of my life because her enthusiasm and energy have inspired everyone around her to spread love and joy and give 110% every day. As I think about all of the people that I need to thank for supporting me through this journey, it reminds me of how the University of Iowa is an amazingly welcoming community. You all must know that by now. The video before the commencement began did an excellent job of demonstrating that. Because of your time here at Iowa, you will forever be a part of the Hawkeye family. Wherever you are headed, I promise you, it will not be an uncommon experience for you to hear a cheer of "Go Hawks" as you proudly display your Iowa experience during your travels. Remember that. Be proud. No matter where you go, you will always be a Hawkeye, and all it will take to make a connection in a new place is simply pulling on an Iowa hat or wearing a small Iowa engineering pin on your sleeve. And within our Hawkeye family, the College of Engineering has always been a leader in the efforts to welcome any student. From the original living learning communities for engineering students, to the inclusive diversity initiatives, to the focus on providing a support system that will enable the success of every student instead of intentionally weeding out students. The University of Iowa College of Engineering experience is truly a unique and amazing one. Your appreciation for that experience will grow over time as you face the challenges ahead of you. This inclusive environment is infused in the foundation of the College of Engineering. As a result, you have been trained by a program that focuses on an interdisciplinary approach to problem solving, and that will serve you greatly throughout your careers. You truly are engineers and something more. You have been trained to design, to analyze, to create, to communicate, to collaborate, and to consider other perspectives. We live in a very dynamic time. There are new challenges and new technologies that may forever change our society. Violence, political discord, climate change. Innovative solutions to many of these problems lie within your hands. We need leaders that are able to bridge differences, empathize, and consider multiple perspectives. We need leaders that are able to work towards collaborative solutions. You graduates can be those leaders. Take these amazing skills that you have honed through your experiences here and apply them to significant problems. Build things in a sustainable way. Consider all factors when introducing new technologies. Do good every day. It is a heavy burden placing this charge upon you, but I know that you can all rise to the challenge. And remember, even the littlest gesture can make an impact. A warm smile, a friendly hello, and simply accepting someone else's viewpoint can make all the difference. Don't feel overwhelmed or try to change the world in one day. Just simply do good every day. Always remember that your Hawkeye family is here to support you wherever you go, and your amazing experiences at the College of Engineering have given you some invaluable skills, and you have the power to change the world. Congratulations, graduates. I look forward to seeing your accomplishments in the future, as I know you will do some amazing things. Thank you, and go Hawks.
Thank you, Steve, for your outstanding service to the profession and for those very wise words. John Keller, Interim Vice President for Research and Economic Development, will now confer the Bachelor of Science in Engineering degrees on our graduating students. Yeah, it's exciting. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science in Engineering please rise? Vice President Keller, these candidates, having completed all of the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering, are recommended to you by the faculty of the College of Engineering for the conferring of this degree.
Thank you, Dean Scranton. On recommendation of the faculty of the College of Engineering, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each one of you the degree Bachelor of Science in Engineering as qualified and designated. Congratulations.
All right, graduates, you may now be seated, and we will individually recognize the recipient of the Engineering Baccalaureate degrees. Vice President Keller will join me in offering our congratulations to each graduate. Feel free to applaud when each graduate is recognized. Jane Dorman will introduce each degree candidate individually by name. Jane is the College of Engineering's Director of Admissions and the First Year Experience, and she met most of these students when they joined the college and has mentored many of them through the years. Therefore, it's particularly fitting that she's introducing them as they receive their degrees here at commencement.
Hi. Will the candidates for degree biomedical engineering please rise? Professor and Department Executive Officer Joseph Reinhardt will represent the biomedical engineering program. Brian James Arvanites. Mike Bojarski. Sarah Cooper. Gustavo Firnhaber. Eddie Graham, with minors in chemistry and human physiology. Julia Koca. Jacob Milani. Colton Myers, with high distinction. Nhan Nguyen. Christopher Pinkham, with distinction. Tommy Rashid, with high distinction. Kuan Rong, with minors in computer science and mathematics. Glen Schoenbeck, with a minor in business administration. We will now recognize the candidates for degrees in chemical engineering. Professor and Department Executive Officer Alan Guyman will represent the chemical engineering program. Sarah Keith, with a minor in chemistry. Collin North, with a minor in business administration. Hanley Sayavong, with minors in chemistry and Spanish, with distinction and with university honors. Erin Smith, with a minor in business administration. We will now recognize the candidates for degrees in civil engineering. Professor and Department Executive Officer Alan Bradley will represent the civil engineering program. Tyler Conkling. Brian Cummings. Connor Danielson. Tom Fales. Nathan D. Haas. Samuel Hermanis. John Hill. Chuanjing Hu, with high distinction. Nathan Kemmer. Alexander Kluver. David Millmeyer. Adam Tuckshur. Andrew Quested with a minor in mathematics. Cristian Treto. Damir Alexander von Rohrbach. Trenton Wilson. Professor and Department Executive Officer Erwei Bai will represent the Computer Science and Engineering and the Electrical Engineering programs. We will begin with the candidates for degrees in Computer Science and Engineering. Yao Ma with a minor in mathematics. Cole Pierce. Junhan Wang with the minor in mathematics. Yuhui Zhou with the minor in mathematics. And now the electrical engineering graduates. Sidy Fall with a minor in statistics and a certificate in large data analysis. Matthew Heim with minors in computer science and mathematics. Nicholas Kutch with minors in computer science and mathematics and with distinction. Pryor Rissover-Plotke with a minor in computer science. Jeffrey Schnell with a minor in mathematics. Tiffany Schoulte with a minor in mathematics. Skylar Wetzel with a minor in mathematics. Congratulations. Alex Wong. Congratulations. Junyan Yang. We will now recognize the candidates for degrees in industrial engineering. Professor and Department Executive Officer Geb Thomas will represent the industrial engineering program. Isaac Bosacki. Congratulations. Rebecca Berger. Casey Douchas. Congratulations. John Martin Hopkins with a minor in business administration. Blake Pierce with a minor in computer science. Michael Schultz with a minor in business administration. Congratulations. Devon Stewart. Congratulations. Madelyn Stubits with a minor in business administration. Congratulations. Imani Wade with a minor in psychology. And lastly, we will recognize the candidates for degrees in mechanical engineering. Professor Justin Garvin will represent the mechanical engineering program. Congratulations. Seth Bietz with a minor in mathematics. Brady Breitbach with highest distinction. Ryan Collins with a minor in mathematics and with highest distinction. Congratulations. Christopher Fries with a minor in business administration and distinction. Corey Galvin with a minor in mathematics. Jiawei Hu with a business administration and mathematics minor and with distinction. Hogan Knott with a minor in mathematics and with university honors. Lingxing Kong with a minor in mathematics. Ryan Kretwig with a second major in computer science and a minor in mathematics. Congratulations. Zhangqi Liu with a business administration and mathematics minor. Congratulations. Colton O'Day with a minor in mathematics. Kyle Tate with a minor in mathematics. Ashley Peterson with a minor in mathematics. Anthony Scola with a minor in mathematics. Logan Sorensen with a minor in mathematics. Christopher Sosnowski with a minor in mathematics. Jackson Tideman with minors in business administration and mathematics. Benjamin Rimley with minors in business administration and mathematics. Congratulations. Henry Penachek with a minor in mathematics. Congratulations. Thomas Brennan. Congratulations. Spencer White with a minor in business administration and mathematics. Congratulations. Han Shaw with a minor in mathematics. Beishuang Zhou. Please join me in congratulating everyone for their hard work and accomplishments. It seems like just a minute or two ago that I met all of you as you began this adventure we call engineering at Iowa. I know I speak for others in the college when I say that we have immensely enjoyed the opportunity to spend these years with this wonderful group of people. I wish you all the best. You'll always be part of our engineering family. Please keep in touch.
All right, graduates, I have one last assignment for you. If you would please turn your tassels to the left side of your caps, you are officially alumni of the College of Engineering. And we have lots of opportunities to celebrate in this ceremony. So finally, I want to say that as engineers, you're equipped to make essential contributions to this nation and to the world. You have a responsibility to bring your talents, understanding, and expertise to bear on the problems facing the world. I hope you will be guided by the highest ethical standards with great respect for our environment and a genuine commitment to human values. We wish you the greatest success in your career. So audience, please remain seated until all of our graduates have left the auditorium, and I thank you for joining us today.